Hello and how for a day. I'm Major Neil Fisher, Deputy Officer in Charge and Public Affairs Officer for Marine Corps Activity Guam. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Island History. Today I'm in historic Hagatna, not to cook anything, but to learn a little bit about this island's history, and specifically the historic San Antonio Bridge. So join us as we learn a little bit today and hopefully have a little fun along the way. So today we're joined by Mr. Tony Ramirez, historian with the Guam Department of Parks and Recreations. Tony, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, welcome, sir.
I appreciate you being here and look forward to learning a little bit more about the San Antonio Bridge.
Sure, yeah. It's something to learn about. You're living here. People should learn about the history of the place and appreciate the history of the place.
Well, I'll tell you, Tony, I drive by here every day going to work.
Yes.
And I've seen this bridge a number of times, and I wondered, where'd this bridge come from? It doesn't seem to really go anywhere, but I'm sure at some point it went somewhere. So who built this bridge and how long has it been here?
Well, that's where you're going to have to go back in history, because the bridge has two names, two references. The Spanish reference is the San Antonio de Padua Bridge, named after St. Anthony. The other reference is the Chamorro reference, and the Chamorro simply call it Tole Atsu. Tole Atsu.
Okay.
And Tole means bridge, and Atsu means rock. So they call it the Rock Bridge. And
okay.
so those are the two references. But when you talk to the old people, even till today, they don't know the San Antonio Bridge. You
What do
have
they
to
know
say
it as?
Tole Atsu. You have to use Tole Atsu. And
Okay.
then they know where the place is at. Now, your other question, which is very significant, is you come here, it's a part of the 17th site of the historic Walk of Hagatna, and you're saying, what is this bridge doing here? There's no river transpanning the bridge.
Exactly.
And everybody would ask that, even when I bring them here. And that's where you have to go back in history. And the history of the bridge, it was built in the 18th century. It was built by a Spanish governor. His name was Governor or Gobernador Manuel Muro. And he built the bridge because the pre-war Hagatna River spans from where the Bank of Guam is at today, all the way to almost where the federal court is at, leading into the Anigua area. That is the length of the pre-war Subject Hagatna in Chamorro, or the Hagatna River.
I'm looking at the plaque here, and it says that this bridge was built in 1800.
That's correct, sir.
We're at 2000, almost 2015, and this bridge looks. It doesn't look like it's going anywhere anytime soon.
Yes, these bridges, the Spanish bridges, were really well constructed. These are coral type material, and this portion of the bridge, the Keystone, if this is removed or anything happens here to the Keystone, this entire bridge would collapse.
Wow.
So the Keystone is very important to the bridge construction. If I go under the bridge, you can see how well preserved it is really. Always in its position, almost in the way that it was constructed. And it's very, like you said, amazing. With all the earthquakes that Guam has gone through, with typhoons, with flooding, and this bridge is still well preserved. The integrity of this bridge is still the way it is, even from the very date that it was built. It was never restored. And we are in the river right now.
Wow.
But that river was buried after the reconstruction of Hagatna. But the bridge was being used.
Can you tell us a little bit about this statue and why it's so important in Guam's history?
Mermaid being half human and half fish due to the curse of the mother. Her name was Sirena, or her name is Sirena. The reason why she's here at the San Antonio Bridge, or Tole Atsu, is because according to the story by the elders, she became half fish and half human at the Menondo River. After she was cursed there, she swam out to the Hagatna area, out to the ocean, via the Subject Hagatna, the Hagatna River. And that's why she became a part of this story.
So what is the significance of Don Pedro Martinez being remembered in this particular spot? Did he have some connection with this area?
Well, the connection first, of course, as I told you, he was a resident of Hagatna.
Okay.
Okay. The most important connection is that he is Chamorro, who is a very successful individual in the business history, Chamorro business history of the not just of Guam but of the Mariana Islands.
He had to be a very busy man. I noticed from the plaque here he had one of the early auto dealerships, a supermarket, construction company,
Right.
cattle ranch.
Yes.
Wow.
If you look at Hagatna after World War II, your first question would be, as you are seeing it today, well, then who rebuilt this?
Right.
And he was one of the principal individuals that rebuilt what we're seeing today of what is Hagatna and all the other men associated to his peers, basically, of his own time.
So Tony, if our service members come down to visit the San Antonio Bridge, they have this nice marker here that can tell them a little bit more about some of the history. We certainly encourage them to do some more research, but can you tell us a little more about what we have here?
These are interpretive signs, and they are really very telling. They tell you briefly about what the place is all about.
Now there's an interesting depiction here,
Yes.
and you see kids, you see some folks who seem to be working. What were some of the uses for this bridge beyond the Spanish time period and more into the Chamorro and even modern day? Because this bridge seemed to be in use for a little while.
Well, because see, the bridge is connected into the historical, road called the El Camino Real.
Okay.
Wherever the Spanish, from my understanding, established a colonial government in the major cities to port, there is an El Camino Real, and Guam had one of those streets or those roads. So the bridge served that purpose of connecting from, could you imagine this, Puerto de Humate, the port of Humate, which was a protocol of the Spanish galleon ships. From there, they would bring the, whatever goods came in and transported them into Hagatna, which was the capital of Guam during the Spanish period until today. By land, sir,
Up
yes.
the El Camino
Right,
Real.
yeah. And that's why there are several bridges that are still intact that connect to this bridge here in Guam.
Wow. Well, Tony, thanks a lot for taking us through this historic park, teaching us more about the San Antonio Bridge, or the Tole Acho.
Yes, Tole Acho.
Did I say that okay?
That's right.
Oh,
Tole
great,
Acho,
great.
yeah.
Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Thanks for the lesson. And is there anything that you'd like to say to our viewing audience?
Well, Neil, just spending these few minutes together here in Hagatna, and if you look at the expanse of this park here, it is so small, but yet you see so many historical things about Guam's history right in this little park.
Right.
That's the most important thing, I think, out of the lesson that we both shared today. If your viewers want to know more about the Hagatna Heritage Walk, they can just enter that on the website and the information would come through. And I do encourage them to do so. If they want further information, they can contact our office, the Department of Parks and Recreation. I work out of the Paseo Stadium.
Okay.
And it's right behind the Chamorro Village. Everybody knows that place.
Very easy to
and
find.
then right, and then I can also assist them through that way.
Well, thanks again, Tony.
Oh, sure.
And thank you all for joining us. The Hagatna has withstood the test of time, from the Spanish period through naval bombardments and even up through today, as we talked about, with typhoons and earthquakes and the like. And this bridge is still standing tall hundreds of years later. Thanks for joining us. I hope you learned something today. We'll see you next time on Island History. Adios, Guam.
Adios, Guam.